Thank you, everyone, for attending. My name is Harish. I look after developer relations at Covalent. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to present at WalletCon and talk to you a little bit about the future of data-powered wallets. We're actually at Covalent not a wallet, we're a data provider. So we kind of have an interesting vantage point of being able to see how the wallet use cases unfolded over the past few years and some of the neat and exciting innovations that have come out, and we'll talk a little bit about them. While many of the topics today are around UX or security, we're going to take a look through the data lens and see what the wallets of the future might look like. This QR code here takes you to a landing page that talks about how you can build or augment and extend your existing wallet application with our API. So have a look at that if you're interested. And we've got the full team here in the front row who can help answer any questions afterwards if you're interested. So with that, let's dive into why wallets matter and some of the key challenges. So beyond being simply an application that stores public-private keys, wallets represent doors to Web3. They serve as your digital footprint. They serve as your identity. They enable you to send and receive digital payments and NFT collection or tokens, these digital collectibles. They enable you to participate in DAOs, record your participation, such as how you voted. There's the plethora of DeFi services. And they can also be used to gatekeep and determine access to products and services. So every single interaction in Web3 is traced back to your public key. And for public blockchains, this means that anyone's got access to this information and be able to see it. So wallets are effectively representative of your Web3 story. But being able to read and understand and stitch the story can be a challenge. Some of the challenges are, it's fragmented. A user can have, effectively unlimited set of wallets across many different networks. And while there are things like token standards, even for similar services that exist across different networks, things like the log events that get generated, or the traces that get generated, can be customized and unique. And so there is a need to sort of standardize and normalize some of that data to be able to stitch it across networks to tell your story. It means that if you have a wallet, you're probably familiar with some of the onboarding challenges. So everything from having to be custodial of your private keys to having to document your list of seed words, for example. Those are all sort of friction points, especially for those who are new to the Web3 space to onboard. We know that there's many projects looking to address the onboarding challenges, which is great, and we'll need that especially as many more of the Web2 users move on chain. It's a challenge because transaction risk exists, and we've seen plenty of wallet hacks. These serve as barriers to entry and dissuade users from basically having ownership of their Web3 story. So what's encouraging is, we're starting to see a lot more innovation. We are starting to see things like transaction simulations, DApp domain flagging, fraud warnings and alerts, and I'll talk about some of these innovations in a little bit more detail shortly. In addition to the challenges, we're also seeing pretty standard wallet interfaces that are used to represent the Web3 story. So many of the wallets have come to look and feel very similar in terms of their feature set, their platforms that they're offered on, or the data presentation layer. So things like having some basic tables and cards, listing your tokens, some basic graphs and charts, some historical transaction data. And in terms of the platform offering, we're seeing this trend towards having browser extensions to basically be able to hedge against the risk of these centralized app stores having a bit of a challenge with some of the wallet applications. So a lot of this is pretty standard stuff in the Web3 space, and so you can kind of think of wallets a little bit like web browsers to some degree, and being to some extent a commodity. And so in relatively noisy landscape, how do you distinguish your wallet application in a field where it's almost treated a bit of a commodity? And so we think leveraging both on-chain and off-chain data sources is going to be a key driver of the next wave of innovation for wallets. Oh, at Covalent, as mentioned, we're a bit uniquely positioned to sort of see the wallet use case unfold over the past few years. We've indexed nearly 90 blockchains. That includes testnets. We've got a handful of wallet projects building with us. And in addition to being able to get things like token balances or NFT assets, we also provide things like decoded log events and then protocol-specific data. So for a wallet address, you can get the yield, reward, staking positions, all that stuff pretty seamlessly. And so that's why we've got a lot of trusted wallets building with us. And so through this unique lens, we've also seeded the space with a campaign called the 1 Million Wallets campaign. And so this is an onboarding campaign that we've done through platforms like Gitcoin, with our partners like ETH Global, and also run dedicated hackathons with some of the larger protocols. And really, this is a way to enable developers to tell their Web3 story through whatever interface, whatever feature set they want to. And so we've seen some really interesting things come through it. I'm only going to share a couple examples here. So being able to theme and skin your wallet using, for example, in this case, it was a Nintendo theme that was applied. We've also seen development of, voice activated wallet interfaces. So using your Amazon Echo to, for your morning alarm, wake up to your crypto balance. Maybe not the best way to wake up, but there's some interesting innovation and exciting things happening there, as well as with wearable devices. So with respect to data-powered wallets, 3 areas that we're going to talk about are going to be advanced visualizations. We're going to talk about recommendation engines and prediction models. And we're also going to talk a little bit about enhanced security. So for advanced visualizations, let's take a look at how users view their Web3 data. And so what you see here is a concept that was actually built at a 1 Million Wallets hackathon, where the representation of the interactions between a wallet and other wallets is done through this sort of molecular model format. And so I can see and drill down into every single interaction that's taken place with my wallet. And then imagine overlaying this with additional data layers where, for example, the bonds can represent the inflows and outflows, and you can have that be a bit more dynamic. You can label the wallets and the contracts that you interact with, and taking this even a step further, tying in additional data sources that could be beyond just the basic transaction with the contract. It could be things like your social transaction data and elsewhere. So a lot of interesting data augmentation opportunities that are available here. With respect to recommendation engines, so I think we've maybe heard or seen things like NFT recommendation engines going a bit step forward. And since things like ChatGPT are on top of everyone's mind these days, being able to leverage a bit more AI and machine learning into our wallets is also a really interesting area of focus, and where we're seeing a lot of activity happening. So in the Web2 space, for example, things like robo-advisors have been around for the past 15 years, and being able to offer tailored financial advice at scale. And when you consider that DeFi, in terms of ability to access those types of services with anybody who's got an internet connection, all of a sudden to be able to offer something like that at scale needs to be done through advancements in AI and machine learning. So, and all of those require a ton of data, which, as mentioned, could be a significant challenge to even get access to. Of course, the one bit, the elephant in the room that's mentioned is, tax compliance. So depending on your jurisdiction, we see feature sets where, in addition to being told what your gas fees are going to be, there's going to be information about your tax liabilities, and tying that in based on the tax profile that you set up. So all of those being baked into the transaction layer that you interact with. And then with respect to enhanced security, according to the last CertiK report, something like $4 billion of assets were drained from Web3 protocols last year, and a bunch of that was from compromised wallets. So how do we enhance security with data? Well, one feature that we see emerging, and I think it's been talked through at this conference quite a bit already, is things like transaction simulations and analysis. So in addition to simulating the transaction and the inflows and the outflows, but also looking at the history, maybe looking at similar transactions that have taken place in the past and doing a bit of forensics there, and all of that powered by data. This is, I think, a screenshot from the Tenderly simulator, and I know there's a lot more being built in a similar capacity out there. In parallel with this is threat identification. So there's multiple projects out there keeping track of suspicious domains, suspicious contracts and wallets, and being able to label that and share that intel with the community is also going to be a key part of the enhanced security feature of wallets. So where that leads us to is this concept of composable smart wallets, where as sort of a basic user, you might have a basic configuration, and then building on top of that, you can pick your data sources, you can pick your enhanced security features, you can pick your applications, the analytic layers, and then of course the skin. And so all of it being done in a very customized fashion in the spirit of individuals having the ability to create their own Web3 wallet to tell their story. So if you are interested in building wallets or augmenting your existing one, encourage you to check out our unified API. So we index upwards of 90 blockchains. This data is then structured and then provided through a unified API, which means as a developer, you really just need to integrate it once. The schemas are all normalized and consistent across all the chains. We've broken out our API endpoints into sort of 3 categories, where with the class A, you're able to pull things like transactions and balances and NFT metadata, log events consistently across all supported chains. The class B and the class C are more protocol specific, so you get additional layer granularity and details that are very much protocol specific. And so we've got, again, a lot of really good documentation that you can check out. And if there's any additional questions, got the full team here, happy to help you out. But that ended up really quickly. But apart from that, thank you so much for listening. I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions. Enjoy the rest of your time here at WalletCon and at ETH Denver.
I had 2 questions. The first one is, can you name some examples of companies or teams working on composable smart wallets?
I actually don't. I was actually going to ask this question if anyone knows of any ones that are working on those composable smart wallets, because I think there's different elements of that layer that I presented that individuals are working on, but I haven't seen anything in much like how you see some of the DeFi activity and protocols being built, where it's almost like in this drag and drop to create things like flash loans and interactions with multiple DeFi protocols. I haven't quite seen that in the wallet space, but maybe you know something about that.
Yeah, no, last year we worked here at ETH Denver, actually, soft launch what we call like an actual super dApp kind of wallet. So we follow the WeChat model, and we iterate upon just based on user testing. So I was wondering, because I think that kind of trend is coming this year with a few in the US and also in Asia that are trying to bring composable smart wallets. Great.
Very cool.
The second question I had, really, I don't know if anybody wants to go, but it's a bit of a technical question, because I used Covalent before. And one of the issues that from the wallet side is really not only just displaying the data, but also the format of like the metadata for the NFTs. So I was wondering if you guys have actually tried to standardize the way that the actual API works, so that wallets can query for whatever address and whatever chain, and don't have to worry with seeing what metadata format or schema matches what chain.
Yeah, we've actually done a lot of work especially on the NFT side of things. We've expanded the suite of endpoints dedicated to NFTs. We still maintain sort of that normalized structure so that it's just consistent across every blockchain that we support. And then the second thing we've enabled is, especially for some of the larger chains, Ethereum, Polygon, and BNB chain, is we've actually scraped and cached all the NFT assets and metadata. And so instead of having to go to the upstream service to then pull it and then serve it up, we have that natively now in our cache, and we can serve it up very quickly through our existing endpoints. So those are a couple of key innovations specifically around NFTs that we've focused on. We've got our CEO here who can absolutely jump in and give you a little bit more context.
So Harish works on the front end. So there's some other stuff that's happening on the back end that I think hasn't reached the other side of the room. So what we've done is we've gone and decoded every single DEX transaction and every NFT transaction. So there are lots of ways to do NFT swoops, NFT sell. So on OpenSea, for example, there's 5 kinds of transactions, which is basically moving an asset from one wallet to another wallet with a sale price and the asset that is used to make that purchase. So if we've gone and normalized all of these transactions, including unrolling things through aggregators and put it into a table. So now if you have a standardized schema, which is this asset is sold from this maker to this taker for this asset, and this is the historical fiat value on this market, on this chain. Now you can compose an English sentence or any language, if you have a JSON structure, into something that fits on a phone, which is sold this asset for this dollar amount, or on a giant screen with all of this information, all the way for taxation products. So it's structured data. So we've done a lot of work. This documentation is on our documentation site, and we've done this for DEXs and for NFTs. So we're more in the middleware, so we're not really providing the analytics, but it's up to the application developers to build investor tools and things like that.